Record. All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
We're gonna call to order now. We are at 6:40. As you may have noticed, we have two new people sitting up here. My name is Mateen Sarsi. I am the new co-chair of the Housing, Land Use and Zoning Committee.
Because I think it was me.
Gotcha. And I'm joined by my co-chair.
David Ratner. And it's really exciting to be here, and it's nice to meet you.
I'm gonna want both of you. Speak up so the owl can pick you up, especially when the train starts coming by, it's gonna be hard to hear.
Thank you kindly.
You're welcome.
One of the first things we'll do is noting that we have a quorum. I want to call to adopt the meeting minutes from June. Do I have a second?
Do we have the book?
Yeah, we have a quarter, we have 5 members of the committee here.
So one of the literatures that's up the front actually has the minutes from June. There's having a copy.
Well, does anybody have any comments or additions to the minutes?
Thank you, Clayton, for his final.
Yeah, that's perfect, yes. That was brilliant, and thank you, Signy, for reminding Clayton.
I know, I was like.
So if we want to adopt the June's minutes, can I get a
Second.
so moved? One of the new things that we want to do, because there are a variety of new folks here at the committee, is do a round of introductions. So again, my name is Mateen Sarsi. I'm co-chair. I'm joined by David Ratner, who is our co-chair, and I'd like to have some of our committee members introduce themselves. I'd like to start off with Juan Colmenares, if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Hi, I'm Michael Bernard. I'm a high school teacher. I live in Harlem. Hi. I teach here at Brandon High School. And I am happy to be here. I'm excited. So that's it about me. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Next we have Teresa.
Hi, I'm Teresa Coles Reagan. I'm a new member to the community board. I'm on the senior acting committee, which was really fruitful this morning. And I'm also on the strategic planning. I'm an active advocate in my community. And I'm here to learn the policies and the practices.
Right on. Next I am, and please forgive me if I mispronounce it, Ayana Mekal? Alana.
I'm Mercado, been on the board since 2017. I'm originally from the Bronx, I'm an attorney, in 2006, and I live in a affordable HBC co-op. And I'm on the arts culture.
Right on. Well, pleasure to meet everyone and to have everyone here. Next, we're going to,
Maybe the public members?
yeah, thank you. Public members. Actually, if you don't mind, I'll start with you, Barry, just because you're online.
Can't hear you.
Barry, you're muted.
You're muted, Barry.
Doesn't seem to be used.
How about now?
Perfect.
Yep. Hey, everybody, Barry Weinberg here. I wish I could be there in person, but calling in from work, unfortunately. And I was a member of the committee for 12 years, but happy to be public now.
So, thank you so much, Barry. If I can move to Sydney.
Sure. Sydney Wilkinson. I live up on 150th Street. I also was on the board for 12 years, and I was co-chair of this committee. And of those.
No.
And happy to be here. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Liz, if I could move to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Vitegas, also former co-chair with Signy on the board for actually not very many years. I think it was 5 years, but I was a public member for 10 years before that and living in HDFC and just really excited to be here.
And joining us, we're just doing rounds of introductions. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Bria McDonald, I've, third and I'm a new member of the board, and this committee.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming. And
Well, we've also got Tiffany.
we have a few members with us from the general board. Tiffany, if I can start with you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tiffany Khan. I was a member of Community Board 9. I sat on this committee, Housing, Land Use, Zoning, a few years back, as well as Economic Development. I've been a public member, I think, for the past 2 years or so. Originally from Brooklyn, lived in Harlem since 2008. Love Harlem and love to continue to serve the community.
Victor, if I could move to you.
Sure, I'm Victor Edwards, I'm chair of the board. I've been on the board 13 years now, serving in different roles. And originally from the Bronx, I've been here in West Harlem for the past 35 years.
Monique Carter Cordero, first vice chair. I'm too from the Down Bronx, yes. And I've been a resident here, for probably close to 3 decades. Also went to high school, music and art was up here. And, I'm happy to be here. Did I get anything? I think I said. And I'm happy to be here and welcome our new chairs.
Thank you. Is there anyone joining us online from the board? Please raise your hand just so I can know to call on you.
See Heather J.
Heather Jason,
And Older's on there too.
co-chair for Landmarks.
Yeah.
Right on. I'll start with you, Christina, because you were the first hand up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Lopez, new to the board. I'm on the Arts and Culture and Landmarks and Parks committees, but deeply invested in housing, justice issues in our neighborhoods.
Thank you for joining us. Jordan, may I call on you?
Hi. Oh. Okay, my video is not working. Oh well. Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm new to the board. I'm on Health and Environment and Uniform Services committees, but I'm attending this meeting to learn about housing as well.
Right on. Thank you for coming. Is there anyone else I haven't recognized yet?
I do see a couple public members. They haven't raised their hand, but Tanya and Olga.
It's Tanya, would you like to?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Tanya. I've been a public member on Community Board 9, I think coming on 3 years on the Housing, Land Use and Zoning Committee. I'm a native New Yorker, raised in Brooklyn and Lower Manhattan, and I've lived in Harlem for close on to 10 years. And happy to be here and see everyone.
Thank you kindly. Olga, would you like to take the floor?
Sometimes for my case.
Gotcha. Okay.
Actually,
Oh,
here.
am I missing anyone else?
Heather,
Heather?
I'm Heather Jason. I'm on the Health and Environment Committee and Landmarks Preservation and Parks Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think that's all of us. All right, so then what I kind of like to do is I'd like to open up announcements for public members, anything that you would like to bring onto the agenda today.
Yeah, did we already put a spot to talk about April announcements? Then we just have a brand new year there, public members, so I think we should probably talk amongst ourselves of some things that we can do to help you guys. Of course, public members are here to support the committee. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I want to say something about that, and when we sent out the agenda, the meeting notice, we notified everybody that Bettina and I are not only new co-chairs of this committee, but we are new members of the Community Board 9. So amongst other things, what that means is that we're in the process of learning, and we're going to be running these meetings, but we're also really here to learn and to listen from all of you, and especially from the public members. And I'd just like to say that in the last few weeks, we've gotten an enormous amount of help from Signe, from Liz, from Barry, and I want to acknowledge that and say how grateful we are. And I think as you'll notice during the meeting, we're probably be getting more help from this meeting. But thank you.
Use the institutional knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad the institutional knowledge is in the group and on the Zoom. Absolutely.
Knowing the things that we'll be looking at this year, we're gonna need it. So we're very happy. Nice. So at this point, we're open for presentations or any announcements. Should we start?
Well, we might as well start with singing.
That's true.
Do you want to talk about it? Yeah.
So, if y'all have been around for a while on either this committee or in this community, you will know the name April Tyler. April G. Tyler. So she was a mentor to many of us on this committee, on this board. She was a member of the housing world in many ways for over 30 years. She was my co-chair for about 8 of the 10 where Liz came on and joined me. We lost her sadly a few years back, 2021, and we have honored her all the time that we can in the meetings, things like this, because she was such a force for us. She was like a guiding point for us. She was a needle towards, guiding what this community is really in need of. She had an amazing vision. So I wanted to let you all know that we're working on a co-naming of a street, the street that she lived on, where she was she started the HDFC on her block, the sweat equity that went into that building. Her and her mother started, Sylvia Tyler, with us. She, amen, right? So Miss Tyler is still with us, and we hope that we can honor her just as much as we do her mother, or her daughter, April. And with that said, we are starting a petition to co-name 138th Street and Amsterdam Avenue, co-name it April G. Tyler Way. That's the working title at the moment, but her family is involved. Her son Dietrich, who now lives in New York City, and I've gotten very close with, are all in. So I do have a QR code for people. I'm going to put it up on the table. The petition itself is here. And we're going to tentative date, please save the date of September 20th. It's a Saturday. If y'all can join us to do a canvas on the block, hopefully we can get the 60% of signatures that we need from the block by just doing a huge canvassing event on the 20th of September. That's a Saturday. I'm thinking from about 12 noon till 2, we do the canvassing, and then we all go to Winnie's set on 140th in Amsterdam and have a drink together and celebrate April and have her mom maybe show up, right? So that's the plan. More details to come on that. Hopefully you'll allow me to share that with the committee by email when we have all the details. So if you would like to support the effort, especially if you live near 138th in Amsterdam, we really need you. But we have an online petition as well as an in-paper petition. And thank you for your attention. It is often.
Thanks.
So one, just so I could also allow for members of online to present. Currently, for folks who are joining us right now, we're currently under presentation and announcements. If there's one of the things that I've noticed is that this particular committee is quite active in terms of issues that are happening within this community around issues of housing, land use and zoning. And so, we want to open up the floor for anybody who wants to make announcements, anybody who wants to talk about things that are happening in the community that we really should be aware about. This is a really good time to do so. And so if there's anybody online who wants to present or wants to speak, please feel free to raise your hand and I'll make sure that we call on you. That way we're able to acknowledge you. Up until that happens, Ms. Chen, I'll recognize you now.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome back. It's great. Well, I wanted to let the community board know that Harlem One Stop was awarded Avenue NYC grant. It's a multi-year grant to do surveys and assessment of needs in Hamilton Heights between 135th and 155th. Amster Convent over to I would say Riverside, but I'm not quite sure if we will go that far because it mostly focuses on the commercial corridors, which would be Amsterdam Avenue, Broadway, and 145th. We have just hired a project manager, and they had their orientation yesterday at SBS, along with all the other project managers for organizations throughout the city that were awarded the Avenue NYC grant. He will be attending the next meeting to introduce himself and the project, and we look forward to working with CB9, especially the housing, land use, arts and culture, and economic development and strategic planning committees. So for once, here it is, we have someone who could do a full assessment of our district needs as it exists now to help us as a community make some decisions going forward and recommendations going forward. Thank you.
Thank you kindly.
Nobody ever did, volunteer. Which I think we should just do that way. Okay.
If I can get a volunteer, so, we know that we have the AI companion taking notes, but the AI, as wonderful as it's going to be one day in the future, it's not there yet. And so one of the things that'll happen is as the meeting progresses and ends, we will need a volunteer to kind of help us make sure that all the right wording, all the right grammar is produced. And I'd like to call a volunteer from our committee if you're willing to make those edits, and then we'll be able to share those edits as we send out the meeting minutes.
I don't think it's a particularly heavy list because of the okay, thank you really good.
Run for clubs. Not hard that thing.
So with that, do I have any other announcements, discussions, concerns that you want to bring up here before I go back to Zoom?
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure if this is probably.
Can you just identify yourself?
Oh, yeah, I'm Javon Collins. I run a tenants association of 3 buildings. One of the main issues that we're kind of talking about is a J51 tax abatement. I don't know if this is like the right group to discuss this. Okay, perfect, here it is. So if you don't know about it, it's a tax abatement that property managers use to renovate buildings, and they get a tax credit for doing so. Everything's cool, that's great. Attached to that is a rent stabilization clause. So your building is rent stabilized because of this abatement. Abatement expired.
Okay.
And when the abatement expires, that means the units of the building that you're in can get set to market rate. So just want to flag that we're kind of talking to a few attorneys right now to figure out what happens when the abatement expires. It usually rolls over into another thing. So it'll be like I think there's like a 429A that's kind of rolling this all together. But our three buildings have noticed that the property manager isn't using the official New York lease renewals. They stopped doing that. They stopped offering 2-year leases. They're offering 1-year leases because this thing expires, which means that these units are subject to deregulation.
What,
So
what were the addresses and when were they built?
Buildings?
The buildings were built in 1940 something. I believe the abatement, the abatement was used yes, we have a tenant association, it's about 33 people. Everyone has gotten their rent rolls, their rent history. You can see that when the abatement was used, you can see when the tenants moved in, the rate increases, all that fun stuff. However, what's your question?
What were the addresses?
Oh, sorry, yeah, 208 West 111th, 204 West 111th, and 240 West 111th. But this is ubiquitous. This is not just these three buildings, it's everyone.
Yeah, in the leases, did they give you notice of the?
Okay, so that's a good question. When you get your first lease, when you first move into a building, a rent stabilized building, the J51 notice should be in your lease when you sign it for the very first time. Any lease renewals, it should be in there. That's how it goes. With these three buildings in particular, the original management company did not put the J51 notice in there, even though they had been using it for like 10 years. This could have been a clerical error. Unfortunately, it works for the tenant's favor. These new property managers who bought the building, I want to say last March, last February. It looks like they're trying to clean up that mess by putting a notice at the bottom of lease renewals that say J51 is soon to expire in 2026. Your unit is subject to deregulation. So that's kind of in there. But now they stopped using that template from New York City. And now they're writing it out almost as if we have a lease agreement with someone. I have window guards in there, I can write all that stuff. So it's technically a legal form, but the fact that it's rent stabilized, you have to kind of use this this template from the city. So that's where I'm at right now.
So I would just add that when the J51 expires, it only leaves stabilization if it wasn't in stabilization prior to the J51. And so with something that old, it's pre-75 is usually the rule of thumb for regulated units. And so I don't, given that they tightened the laws in 2019, I don't think that it's likely that it would be legal for them to remove the units from stabilization post expiration.
Oh yeah, not to cut you off. The way that they can remove it legally would be to when the person leaves, they file a vacancy lease, and then they would the new tenant would move in with that market rate.
No, it has to be 6 years, it's the statute of limitations.
Oh, between
time
vacancy
it
lease
gets the
and a
loss.
new person.
If the last tenant was rent stabilized, they moved in 2020, and a new tenant moves in now in 2025, they can claim an overcharge.
Okay.
And request rent stabilized lease.
Okay.
It's a 6-year statute.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Oh, great.
Hold on.
Thanks.
Have you been in touch with Palante?
Yes, actually, Palante looked over the first batch of lease renewals, so this has kind of been like the 9th iteration, but the first lease that had that notice of the J51 lease renewals from the new management company was not written in the correct font, and that threw off the legality of the form. So Palante helped us correct that, but because that statement is still in there, it's still kind of.
Yeah, but it varies, right? That if you're rent stabilized for reasons other than J51. If your building is built before,
Right.
So it depends on what kind of rehabilitate, how many units are in it?
For all three buildings, it's 54 units. All of them are all rent stabilized units.
So,
And they were claiming the abatement in the 70s. That's what I want to clarify as well.
yeah, so you might be rent stabilized, just, anyway, just.
Yeah,
So
that's bizarre.
yeah.
Because
It depends, they could do a total rehabilitation and take under a J51 and take it out of,
you mean
Rent
if it's
stable.
sub rehab,
I'm sorry,
like if it's a substantial rehabilitation?
yeah, substantial rehabilitation could take it out, but that isn't necessarily what happened.
Right, and also there's no common
Has to meet
units here.
75% minimum
Okay.
Of all the service, all
of
the
the
areas.
rehab. I think it's 80% for the
Yeah,
rehab.
I don't.
And the rehabilitations are, in this case, they redid the cellars and tried to rent them out, which is also legal. But that's not, what I want to bring up is the fact that the units are the ones that is rehabilitated, but not the building.
Yeah, so it's not
the
deemed
so-
structural.
Right, so we don't have common areas, it's just the units that's how they're playing out for us.
The other thing to look into is, was it really necessary? Because sometimes landlords will overstretch to meet that 80% threshold.
They didn't file the permits for that cellar thing, and obviously how we're talking, the cellar is unnecessary because we can't.
Is Palante taking it on? I mean, is they assigning an attorney who's like really looking into this?
I spoke to Melissa, who's the attorney over there. She got us to the point of fixing the lease renewal so that they're legal. Now, like as of today, they're not using the same lease.
Right, but they will Palante look into these other issues about whether. I don't, I'm not, I know about Palante, but I don't know how they operate and.
Yeah.
But they do, will they assign an attorney to this, to a tenant?
So this is what I suggest, we offline later
Okay,
and talk, I'm in contact with Palate.
okay,
So we can do that, so we should.
Okay.
Move forward. We
Okay,
have-
Yeah, absolutely.
Good idea.
yeah, absolutely.
We'll definitely talk.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that.
Yeah.
Stay unified.
Oh, yeah.
Dividing contracts.
Nice. I don't see any hands up, but I did want to recognize, oh, no, sorry.
You wanna-
Yeah.
Should go to 17.
Okay.
All right, without any additional presentations or announcements, we'll open it up to new business, starting off with 1727 Amsterdam. So there's two pieces of literature that was out, grab them. One is going to be the project description of this particular plan. And then we also have, in addition to that, huge shout out to Barry. He was able to call out a lot of errors that were made, and that is also added onto here. So one thing that I'll say is, and what I'll do is I'll actually add a copy of this, just one piece of the entire EAS that was submitted. But I will put a link on the chat. That way, everybody who is,
We'll get some more.
wants to have a copy of the entire document will be able to do so. What we have here is just a piece of it, just sticking to the project description.
If I may, just to summarize, this is a project which the city of New York owns a piece of property at 145th Street and Amsterdam Avenue, which currently is a 4-story building housing community health facilities, in particular two very important community health facilities. One called Emma Bowen and the other is Heritage, and I can't remember the name of Heritage, but they provide they provide key healthcare to the community, and what the city is proposing to do is to air those, is to move Emma Bowen out, at least temporarily, and get rid of Heritage, the other healthcare facility. They're gonna tear the building down, put up a 9-story building to replace it, called Hilltop, which they're gonna call Hilltop Apartments, which are gonna have 199 units. They're going to, as I understand it, they're going to be 120 supportive housing units, which are going to be studio apartments for people who are coming out of homeless shelters. Then they're going to have a mixture of affordable housing. I believe that there's going to be 34 units of 40% AMI and 45 units of 60% AMI. Plus a certain number of units for senior housing. 22 senior units. Originally in 2022, the city tried to get approval for the project without going through the Euler process, and Community Board 9 found out that this was happening and brought it to the attention of the city, and they have now filed the ULIP application, which is going to come before this committee and the board, and probably that will happen on September 15th. So that's just the background of that, what's going on.
Right. I think one of the things that was kind of noted with this particular project is the city, where in a lot of cases are usually working with developers to build bigger and taller to try to bring in as much affordable units as possible. And in this case, they are not. In this case, they kind of just want to build as they're allowed to do, which, considering the fact that it's a public property, which is rare to find in this particular neighborhood, should be considered, for additional housing units. And so, we're very grateful for the work that folks have done, especially on this committee in the past, to not only hold the city's feet to the fire, but also give us the opportunity to actually have a land use process in which the next thing for us will be to schedule a public hearing in which we'll be able to have members of the public share their thoughts on this particular plan and, to pass a resolution on this. I mean, one of the things that we were noting in terms of the work that the past committee has done, and even the community board in and of itself, is being able to present a viable solution in which looking at something that could be upzoned in this particular case could not only bring in more units of actual affordable housing, increase the amount of space, to have the health center, but also even look at commercial space, things that could be of benefit to this community. And these are not things that are unachievable. These are not things that cannot be financed through current methods. And if anything, I think this proposal will actually better shapes the financial portfolio for viability of it. And so, that'll also be something that's up for consideration. And again, we want to hear everything. We want to hear what the community thinks about this. We want the opportunity that's not given to us to actually share this. And so, like I said, the next steps for us is going to be to schedule that public hearing. We want to make sure that when we do, that it's not only shared out wide, but we want as many people as possible to come to this public hearing and share their thoughts on it.
Yeah, I should have mentioned one other thing about the project, and that is what they're proposing is also to reduce the amount of community space which is currently at the site is 59,000, little more than 59,000 square feet to 21,000 square feet. And the Emma Bowen Center, which had 44, now, well, I'm sorry, doesn't now because they've actually moved out already, but it had 44,000 square feet, will be reduced to 21,000 square feet, which is another significant part of what's going on in the city's proposal. But I think it would be good if maybe Barry or Liz or Signe could just speak briefly about how the ULURP process works, how the committee's going to be involved in this, now the community board as a whole is involved in it.
Yeah, well, I can start, Barry and Liz, if you have anything to add on this, but just so you know, it's the process in which the community has a voice and how the city developed this, right? So the process itself starts with the certification. All right, so they have to put in all the paperwork, they have to put in all the plans that we can review. And on September 15th, we're expecting, we're in pre-certification now, we're expecting in a few days that it'll be an official certification, which means we have 60 days as a community board to do a public hearing, put together a resolution on the matter to what is supposed to guide them in what the community wants to see on this project. So that is our voice in the process. We have 60 days from September 16th or 15th. That really means we need to have the public hearing soon because we need to have something ready to go probably for the October meeting, because November 15th will be before our November general board meeting. And so we want to make sure we have it to the general.
Do you have a suggestion as to what the outside date for a public hearing would be under those constraints?
I would say we should probably have it before end of September. Yeah, and my suggestion is this will be a very hot topic, as we say. So we should find a larger space that we can do it in, whether that is at City College or somewhere. I think the office could help us maybe reach out to a few agencies, few buildings, few agencies, organizations, whatever that might help us with space and secure that first. And then we're gonna want to make sure we have, speaker system, translation services. I believe, do we still have translation services at the office, or do we have to rent those?
I think you have to rent.
We have to rent, okay. And then we could use some of funds, the discretionary funds to maybe hire a translator and things like that, probably. So we should put some funds in for the public hearing is next.
Okay, and when do the notices need to go out if we're talking? I mean, how many weeks ahead?
Of the public hearing?
For the public hearing.
As many as possible, but I think 2 weeks is a good amount of time. One of the benefits of having you gentlemen now taking some of this is I could actually focus on helping you guys get some more of the word out. I think we should get them on all the Link NYCs, see if we can do that. I have some ideas on how we can get the word out to make sure we get as many voices as possible in that room to let the folks at V know what we want to see on that project.
Can you send us a template or an example of the?
Yeah, we have the office often will help, create a flyer and all of this, but we can create our own flyer with like pictures of the project and so a few facts, but just like one page that's very clear and what it is. I'll send you past examples of public hearing flyers. I've also got an example of the past form that I created. We also had an online form in the past for public hearings for people to submit online statements, not just live statements on the day of. But I've done, on Cognito Forms, I've created that, so I'll send you the example of that as well. So you can get online, and I would add details on the project as they're proposing it on that page as well. So it was a one-stop shop for people. They could sign up to speak at the public hearing, or they could submit a statement right there, and they could read about the project. So with your help, we could probably do that together. All those are things we've done in the past, which I hope will help.
And then when after the public hearing, I assume that we'll have to put together a packet showing what the testimony was, and then preparing a resolution.
Yeah,
It'll
that
have
guides
to
our
be-
reso, of course.
Right, so I'm just wondering about the timing, because it has to be, well, okay, we have 60 days, so we'll have a couple of meetings to. Okay, great.
Yes.
Thanks.
So we're looking at maybe the week of the 29th, 2 weeks from the 15th. Well, the first, last week in September into the first couple of days in October. I can check with City College for space, get that moving, that takes some time, and then we can go from there.
Thank you. Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, thanks, Victor. Liz or Barry, do you want to add anything to what Signe said?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just that, so 60 days after the 15th will be in November, right? And so that means you'll probably want to have your final kind of statement done by what is that? What's the third Thursday in October? That, anyway. And so, if you do it if you do that big meeting before whatever, I can't pull up my calendar right now, but the second Tuesday in October, that'll give you an extra working session to like work on the reso. So if you can do that big one before October 14th, that would be probably pretty key. So you're looking at like late September or first week of October, maybe. And then, yeah, I would just echo everything Signe said.
So did we say week of September 29th is a Monday, September 29th, that week we're looking at, or?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just thinking, I know the Jewish holidays,
That's the 23rd is Rosh Hashanah, right?
right, but then Yom Kippur,
It's Yom Kippur.
it's a week later.
Which day is it?
I'm just trying to pull it up on my.
The first of October. First of October. So
Is it
what would, if anybody can clarify for us?
October 3rd would be a safe date in terms of that.
October 3rd would be a safe.
If it's a Friday, then it wouldn't be safe. But the 30th, September 30th should be, I think. Yeah.
It's a Tuesday.
That's a Tuesday. We have done them on weekends before to allow folks that work more access and things like that, and they're busy, but we don't have to. Tuesday night would probably be a good one.
Okay, do you do multiple days or you hold it on?
I don't remember having done that in the past. I think if we have an online statement, also an online option, then just the one big in-person public hearing. And then have and you can keep the online version open until the last, moment you wanna get all the information before you format the reso, we can keep that open longer, so.
But
Maybe
to answer your question, David, it can be done split up over multiple days. I forget what the term is. But I know CPC does that for their hearings, so you could probably do it for this.
Okay, I'm not necessarily saying we should, I was just curious as to whether the past.
This might be a project where we want to do that only because it is such a hot topic.
Is it okay if I ask how many of you guys are familiar by show of hands with this project, this location, 1727? Or previous, great, okay. Green preservation.
The project team would need to agree to having more than one hearing as well.
Oh, right, the
Project meeting,
1727 Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I may be getting ahead of myself. So,
You all need to see that UN has her hand raised.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you. Quick question. There is an existing resolution, and I'm wondering, are there substantive changes to the existing reso? And two, if they are, then I would suggest that the new reso be sent, or the old reso, if there are no changes, be sent with the meeting announcement. Because there is, the existing reso is out there, and I think it will be confusing if, if it's different from a reso you're talking about, coming up with a new reso, unless I misunderstood.
Just to clarify, there was a resolution that I think is something like June of 2022. If anybody wants.
23, I think.
Or I'm sorry, early 23. It was discovered in 22. The reso came out in 23. A lot of the reso had to do with the fact that the city was refusing to put this through the Euler process. There were a lot of other criticisms that were in that resolution, and
It also had recommendations, which I thought was the core of that letter.
Absolutely, and we either have to adapt, consider those and put them into a new resolution, but we should probably also send it out.
With the announcement, I think.
So.
That could be something on the online form.
Yeah.
Historical data.
Yeah, but they have changed the project. It doesn't seem like they've changed it very much, but it is there are some differences.
Can I ask a question? This is very new to me, so I'm just trying to understand. So you're saying that we're having a public meeting to contest the proposed project. So I'm just trying to understand, like, after the public meeting, there's a resolution that's produced. How does the resolution produce the change that we would see? Like, what happens there?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a public hearing to contest it. It's more a public hearing to get public feedback.
Yeah.
If the whole thing is because it's happening on public land, by law, they have to bring for everybody and let us know that this is what they're planning to do. And this kind of gives everybody in the community the opportunity to say how you feel about it, regardless of whether you're for it, against it, or what you want to see in particular. And then realistically for us, we want to take all that feedback that's coming in. We want to review kind of like what's been said in the past, and then realistically to think ourselves to come up with something that we're going to share with the public and say, this is how we stand on this. And vote on it, and then bring it before the general board to essentially discuss it, which is wrong.
Okay, so then it's like you bring it to the board and then the board brings it to.
Yeah, this Euler process is a uniform land use review process. And anytime that the developer needs a zoning change or a permit, a permit or a zoning change, they have to submit those plans to a rather extensive, I think it's about an 8-month review. And it starts with the community board. It tries to get people from the idea is to get people from the community board aware of the project, get their input, and to make comments. The comments can be anything ranging from this is the best thing we've ever seen to this is a disaster, please don't do it. That the community board through resolution makes a recommendation. It doesn't have veto power, it doesn't have the right to say yes or no. That resolution then goes to the borough president's office. The borough president then makes his or her own recommendation, which then goes, I think, to city planning, and it goes to the city council, so on and so forth. And eventually a decision is generally made by the city council, which can be vetoed by the mayor, but then can be overridden. But the idea is to get all these different inputs into the project so that the developer either changes the program or sometimes it gets the program gets turned down.
Got it. So it's a way for the community to have a say
Correct.
in these.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. It's a very long process. It's most likely going to take even after the administrations change in the city. So this does take a considerable amount of time. So we'll, depending on how folks feel, regardless of where that is, there's plenty of steps in between in which everybody can have a voice either at the community board, with your borough president, with your city council member, and beyond. It's a fun process.
Laughter is so excited.
I do. It's public engagement. I think anytime we could tell our electeds how we think, I think it's a positive thing.
That's why we exist.
I don't know. Were there any questions or the discussion? Cool. All right. So I'm gonna then move to budget review. So one of the things that we'll be doing as a board is, and this is something that gets done on a yearly basis, is we're gonna talk budgets. So for, one of the things that we are going to do on this committee is, one, we need to not only work on things that happens on the yearly basis. So for essentially, I always call these like, kind of like community agreements in terms of things that we want to see the city invest in. The city can invest in realistically two things, either infrastructure, things like sidewalks, networks, things that they could actually build with brick and mortar. And then there's expense, in which these are kind of like programs, things that the city will typically fund on a program basis. So that could go anything towards, funding to your local community center, funding to the community board, things of that nature. And so every community board throughout the city kind of goes through this. We're going to go through it as well. And so kind of the things that are going to help us determine what kind of priorities we should see in this community are going to be things like public hearings, complaints that come before us, any kind of like surveys that have been done either locally by city agencies, local groups, and our own observations, things that we see every day. We all live here. And so we want to not only take a look at, what was done for last year, which is considered fiscal year 2025, which started at the beginning of July and will keep going until next year at the end of June. Once that ends, we'll be going into fiscal year. We're currently in fiscal year 2026. I apologize. So we'll be looking at fiscal year 2027. I always get confused because NYCHA has 3 different fiscal years. So, one of the things that we'll be doing as part of that is, consulting with different city agencies, looking at things that they may already have on their boards, things that they, may already know that needs funding, And, you know, we could take a look at some of those. We could take a look at other kind of programs, things that we see are necessary in the community. And ultimately make recommendations on, at least on the housing part and the what do you call it, and the agencies that are involved. This isn't something that's just decided with us. There's the entire board. And so, you know, we look forward to working on this. I'll use the examples that I kind of took down from 2025. I don't think I have fiscal year 26, but I had things like, you know, priority one, to provide and expand affordable housing through all available programs for artists. Another example, this was priority two. I don't know how much this has changed. Is to renovate or upgrade the existing healthcare facility. That's 1649 as a result of them being evicted from the current 1727 Amsterdam. Priority three, looking at developing more affordable units at a space over at 3560 Broadway. Most folks will know it as the Hamilton Theater. It's over on, I say 147 Broadway, don't quote me. And so these are just a few examples. So we're gonna take a look at these. We're also gonna work with, you know, the city agencies to kind of get their feedback and ultimately come up with recommendations that we'll pass on, and then we vote on as a whole. So I think our next step is gonna be meeting, you know, with our district manager, with Yusa, getting a bit more of a feel for what that process actually looks like. It's our first year, so definitely excited to kind of get our hands dirty on budget. Did I capture it?
So I actually spoke to you, we have an onboarding meeting on Monday. And she said she feels that that fine we cover. Office. Yeah, I don't know, do any of the public members, care to add anything to that, to this discussion on the budget?
Okay, I would, before you were saying something about housing, could you repeat again what you said about housing?
Oh, that's just me and my, so I work for NYCHA, and so NYCHA uses 3 different fiscal years. The city has its own fiscal year, the state has its own fiscal year, the federal government has its own fiscal year in terms of how they pass their budgets. So
Okay, so what is it you do for night?
Sure, I'm a strategic projects manager. I work on things that they can't figure out.
Okay, so, okay, if they can't figure it out, how's you figure it out? Because, see, I got serious problems with it. So, I don't understand it.
I don't blame you. No,
Okay, so see, okay, wait a minute now.
okay.
Okay, I have a 504, especially for the handicapped. I can show you from my phone all the molds that's in my bathroom. The black mold has completely covered the sewer line above my toilets. Okay, I have molds all over the house. I have a hole in the wall that they said a plumber, I don't know what five and dime nigga store they got him from, but he wasn't a plumber because he didn't know what he was doing. He was there for 5 hours and he just kept doing this and doing that. And you know what? I still have that big hole in my bathroom in that wall. And then I caught him as he's tearing down the wall. He's throwing everything back inside the wall. So I'm saying to him, listen, if you keep throwing all that stuff back in the wall, I'm never gonna get rid of the mold. Because this is what's holding the moisture. Okay? So then he had this nickel and dime supervisor that came up, and he got mad because I wouldn't sign. What am I gonna sign? Well, he didn't do nothing. Like I told him, I could have taught a 6 months old to do that. Because he didn't do nothing. It was just a waste of time. And right now, I have a lot of molds. All right. Okay, I get a lot of water leaks. Okay, I've had housing in court since 2016. So I would like to know what it is that you're doing. Because see, something ain't right.
Well, unfortunately, you're not the only one who's dealing with issues like that. I'm very familiar with the kind of stuff you're dealing with. Let's connect offline. Let me take your information and I'll start working with you.
Now, in the budget, the community board does put in the budget line items about NYCHA and things that we think need to be supported through NYCHA. So
Absolutely.
that's,
But NYCHA does support them. You can put anything down,
yeah.
even with the judge that I have. Okay, you know what she said to me? She was gonna put me in adult protective services. So you know what I told her? Maybe you need it, but I don't need it. Okay? Just because I come here and I have a problem, what gives you the right to say that I need adult protective services? I wanna see your qualifications. I wanna see all your schooling. All right? Then she's gonna appoint me a guardian item. The lady calls me the day before the trial, and it's like 8, 9 o'clock at night. Then when you get to court, she's sitting there on video. What am I gonna do with her? And the judge won't let me get rid of her.
So
They gonna tell me I can't change.
let me
But
suggest,
but wait a minute, sir. Everybody is calm with the guardian item. The guardian item goes to their house to make sure everything is correct. They come with them to court. Won't they ever see this lady? She's so long with it.
okay, let me suggest this to you, that we can speak offline and afterwards. Normally, we take those type of complaints in the office during the workday,
Okay.
right? So we can come, you can do that. My background is NYCHA as well, so I know exactly what you're saying. I'm retired.
So what did you do for nights? You say you retired. Before you retired, what did you do?
I was the director of Staten Island Bronx, all of NYCHA developments in Staten Island Bronx.
That's why all them over there so messed up.
No, I was an award-winning person for the state of New
Okay,
York.
all right. But people be
No,
complaining now. I mean.
You don't wanna challenge me on what I did there. Trust me.
People over there, you talking about, they ain't no good. They just like, man,
You asked me what I did.
Manhattanville is
I
bland.
told you what I did.
It's nothing but junk.
As
I
I
have
said
worked
to
in
you
both of
before,
those
Miss,
systems.
Come in the morning,
Okay.
get to the office, we can discuss it then. This is not that type of forum,
All right.
okay?
So we tell you,
When did you get up?
I get up at 6, sometimes at 5. You gonna be there?
You See, now you just try to keep it.
No, I'm not trying to be difficult,
No,
but
no,
you say
that's
what time I get up, but I'm telling you what time I get up.
Yeah, come at 6, we open at 9.
Okay, bet. You gonna have coffee?
Wait
I want
outside at
breakfast.
6.
Okay,
We're here for serious business.
okay,
all
sir,
right?
I'm serious
No,
too.
you don't seem like you're serious.
Why you don't think I'm serious?
Because you
Because I
tell me.
come night and you don't like it?
No,
'cause
no,
you
that's
come
not what
night
I'm
and
saying.
early?
We're here for one particular reason. I asked you to come in the morning.
Okay, I said
Do
something.
it. So let's do that,
So what's
okay?
the problem?
It's no problem.
Okay.
Let's move on with the agenda.
Yes.
Yes, sir, move on with the agenda.
All right. So with we've done, the last item on our agenda is reviewing community planning fellow application. So in this particular case, so we have a really interesting opportunity that came before us. The Fund for the City of New York has a fellowship program with graduate students from a variety of universities, in which they are seeking to recruit graduate students to work with community boards like ours on a variety of projects. And so one of the handouts that you'll see up front is actually 4 different proposals. Because essentially what we have to do is create a proposals. In this case, we have 2 that we can submit for, in which a graduate student may be able to take on one of those projects and basically work with us for a period of time in order to create a deliverable. And so in our case, knowing that we're looking at housing, land use and zoning, we have 4 different proposals that we drafted. One of them is to create an AMI guide for affordable housing. So in this case, we're proposing that the planning fellow would conduct.
Well, just explain what AMI is.
Yes. Oh, that's a full. So AMI means area median income. So typically, whenever the government decides to measure how much money a typical household makes, in this case, the federal government, they kind of look at an entire area. For us, they look at New York City, Long Island, Westchester, and they come up with these numbers that then say, oh, this is what we think is affordable for a family of 3, 4, 5, and so on. A lot of the times these numbers don't even match up to any typical neighborhood. So the things that typically pop up you're usually asking yourselves the question of affordable housing for who? Because it's usually not us. And so that's long story short, that's what the AMI looks at. What we're proposing in this case is knowing that the federal government does these things, that we're looking for a fellow to not only look at the existing AMIs or the area median incomes as they exist, but to then create a three-part project where they're comparing the citywide AMI to what's actually real block by block. So this would not only give at least us in the future some idea of what what is the right amount of affordable housing that we should be looking at whenever we get presented with something. Because developers would come in and say, we're going to present these affordable units at these AMIs, but we could actually have something on paper that shows what should we actually be looking at and approving to make sure that whatever is being brought to us matches to what is actually needed in the community. Do you have a question?
No, I'm not listening.
So that's the first part. So this would involve doing a variety of data analysis, taking stock of the current housing. So analyzing a sample of recently built housing developments within these areas, identifying that affordability, and then finally creating that community impact study.
Yeah, just to add to what Mateen is saying, and by the way, I just want to give him all the credit for this, for having put these really good proposals together. But this is something that's going to relate to a lot of projects like the 1727 Amsterdam project, where they are, they meaning the developer is it's saying that they're going to create affordable housing. And as Mateen said, affordable to whom? And this analysis will hopefully allow us to have a rigorous structure for trying to come up with what we really believe, based on evidence, would be affordable to people in this community, instead of just doing the vagaries of 40% of AMI or 60% of AMI. So this is an attempt to try and really grapple with that issue in a meaningful way.
Quick question about that. So this would be a program that one of the graduate students would be helping to develop, or is there something already in place to kind of gather AMI? Is it only the state records? And can like the tax and finance department, I don't know how like open source this is, but can we pull that information from people's tax records to figure out their actual income? Is that data like public?
There's a variety of data that's currently public. I mean, part of it is, guidance from us in which we may know certain public sources, government or otherwise, that we kind of direct that fellow towards. The other part of it is relying on academia.
Right.
And so academia is going to be a really good kind of like reference. I myself happen to have a professor who specializes in this kind of data. And so I know at least on my end, I want to make sure he's or she is connected to that professor, and they'll be able to work with with each other in that sense. And that just goes beyond not only whoever they might be working with in this particular program, but realistically what we all have to offer as well. And so they're not limited. And I think that's ultimately the point is they're not only learning from us, we're going to be learning from them, as I'm sure they're going to have their own resources. But then we happen to have a really great wealth of information that we can kind of use. Part of it is public. A lot of it is going to be research based, because this is a long term. We're looking at about 9 months that this person would be with us. So within that time period, they'll definitely be browsing through a variety of records. There are data management programs in which you can pull general information from like city, neighborhood to the zip code area, and then they could kind of like work from there. But there's
There is census data,
oh,
right?
yeah.
But that data tends to be both like not super specific
Right.
and is also a little bit dated.
Right.
So,
it's hard.
yeah, that's kind of where I was getting at, because usually this stuff is from census data, and a lot of the times not everyone's kind of counted, but also like the canvassing part is a little bit like, hey, how much money, you know, it's a little bit difficult to get
Yeah.
everybody's actual amount to make this calculation. Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, in cases like that, I mean, we also want to make use of like nonprofits or specific organizations who like tap into those pieces of information, and in housing, it definitely goes broad enough that I think we could point them to that.
Yeah, Mateen, that's actually the only point I would make, is that I would make sure, I haven't had a chance to review the wording, but I would make sure that the requirements you're listing are broad enough that it's not, that if they get done with that portion more quickly than we assume, that there's still other stuff for them to work on. Like maybe you want to overlay that geographically with data on J51 or 421A or whatever. So just, that's a thought to make sure that you leave it somewhat open-ended, so that if that part is easier than we think, that we have other stuff that they can work on.
I like that. Thank you, Barry.
Actually, I was having a thought as well, and when I went to the Health and Environment committee meeting last night, and I think I shared a quick reply or note with you guys, that I sat in on the session to hear about the requirements for bringing on a fellow. And first of all, you guys did a great job. I'm looking to see how Mateen, how maybe maybe we could bring on 2 fellows and taking one of these proposals and maybe elaborating on it more and adding a health component. Being a health person who works in health, I'm always thinking about that. And we know stable housing means a person can be productive and do what is needed to be effective a part of the community. And so I was thinking that if we were to add on, maybe somehow there could be a health component. I have to still think it through. And I did share with the chairs for health and environment the idea, and I'm trying to see if we did anything in that committee. But I would like to follow up with both of you as well to see what else could be done.
Well, I have a question about that, Victor. Are you, we had some emails back and forth, and are you having other committees apply for this fellowship as well, or are you thinking that we're gonna be?
We kind of narrowed it down to health and.
Okay. Okay, so there will be a health, I assume there will be a proposal.
Yes, I mean, one of the things is how your living conditions affect that.
All right.
Seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, well, that would be interesting, if maybe the health committee can send us suggestions about things that they think might.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely sharing this with them to have some things to I just wanted to put that out there. So. Food. No, I didn't have those.
Oh, I was gonna ask, so is this for current grad students, or is there like consideration for recent grads? I just graduated.
Congrats.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, it seems to be current. So.
But you should probably, I mean, if you're interested, you should get in touch with Fund for the City of New York. Just see if they're they're taking applications from grad students, and I don't know what their criteria are. It's whether they're recent grads or current.
Oh, yeah, let's take your information after, and then we'll send you the contact info.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just to write it down, so we don't forget to check with City College and Sean Rickenbacker, who, back before COVID, April engaged him and his students in a project and a study. Now it's some years back now, but if there's any data that could be usable for this or any future project, I think we've been trying to kind of follow up with him to see if we can grab that.
You said Sean Rickenbacker?
Sean Rickenbacker, I can make an introduction, but
Yeah,
he's always happy to help.
just to add on to what Mattia was saying, these applications are due on September 19th. And as I understand it, Mattia, maybe your understanding is different. You can put in up to 2 proposals. You don't have, you know, you can do 1 proposal or you can do 2 proposals. But I don't think you can do any more than 2, which is why.
After we win it and we get.
Yeah, okay.
Then we'll look for data mining.
Okay, who's gonna be in charge of inscribing the trophy? That's all I want to know.
There we go.
I like a plan.
Someone on mine asked a question.
Oh, great.
I think Tanya had her hand up, but she put it down.
I added my questions into the chat. I was just wondering if it was an undergrad, I might have missed this when you first announced it, but whether it was an undergrad or graduate student and what the
Grad.
application was and where we can find information to pass this on to eligible students.
Gotcha. Yeah, it is for graduate students in urban planning. It seems like.
No, all
Okay.
sorts of
Oh.
programs. There's social work programs, urban planning, architecture. They try and match the fellows up with the proposals, based on what, who's the best fit. But they're from a lot of, I think it started out with like 5 graduate programs and it's now expanded to 10 or 15 programs, all within the city of New York.
And where can we find the application to pass on to eligible students who are interested?
You provide the students.
Yeah, they provide
Oh,
students.
they provide,
They-
okay.
It's called the Community Planning Fellowship, and it's run by
The fund.
the Fund for the City of New York.
Got it.
So
There was,
I'll add contact information.
we should be in the chief and add it into the chat.
they
Great.
will send you a list of students to select from it.
Got
At
it.
least that has been my experience. And then it's up to the students. Once you've made your selection, then it's up to the students to decide whether or not they want to work on your project.
Got it.
So it's a two-way thing. You
Great,
choose the
thank-
students and the students have
Choose.
to, they rate the projects that you offer.
Great. Great, thanks, Yun. That's really helpful.
Okay.
Right on. Thank you. All right, so second proposal is looking at perhaps a menu of services for CB9 communities. This might be a little bit too short. I think they could do this in less than 9 months, but we'll say this. So this one is the planning fellow could develop a user-friendly and practical menu of services designed to provide CB9 constituents centralized resources surrounding housing-related issues. The project would move beyond the simple list of resources to create an accessible guide a resident could use to navigate their specific problem, whether that's finding new housing, dealing with a landlord, or seeking legal aid. So this would involve producing 3 different menus, one for each neighborhood, being Hamilton Heights, Manhattanville, and Morningside Heights, in which there would be ways that one could find housing. So putting a guide to affordable housing platforms like Housing Connect, as well as local and citywide nonprofit housing, including a glossary of terms like AMI, income bands, and housing lottery rules. That would follow up with protecting my rights. So an organized directory of legal services, tenant organizers, and anybody with a special emphasis on hyper-local organizations, very similar to Balante in Harlem. The section should also include instructions on how to file complaints with the Department of Housing Preservation and Development, or HPD, as well as Department of Buildings, DOB. This could also include staying informed, listing key government and nonprofit resources that includes CB9's email distribution list, HPD's Office of Tenant Advocate, local community-based organizations, and anything that could help residents stay updated on the rights and local housing policy changes. So that's the second proposal. The third proposal would be a review and assessment of the 2008 Community Board 197A plan. So this is kind of looking at having a fellow do a comprehensive review. Basically, we know that there was a plan that was set out in 2008 in terms of recommendations for things that involve land use, zoning, and neighborhood. And this project would essentially analyze the key objectives and the recommendations from that plan, kind of see what the city is doing now. How much of that are they keeping up with? Are they even listening to this plan? Are they even following with anything that was set? And, you know, this is looking over the past 16 years and basically assessed how any of the city and district policies have either stayed the same, aligned, or has it gone off the rails from the original vision. The key research questions that we're looking at here is implementation status, what recommendations from this 2008 plan, particularly anything related to affordable housing mandates or, new waterfront park access, manufacturing zone preservation, how much of that has been successfully implemented. In terms of policy evolution, again, making comparison as to how much things have changed since the original plan's adoption to now. The current relevance, how much of this 2008 plan is still relevant to today's, needs and challenges. Looking at the housing affordability crisis, increased population density and environmental resilience efforts. So at the end of all this, we're proposing a comprehensive report to be submitted to Community Board 9, where the report will provide detailed evidence-based assessments on the legacy, highlighting the success and areas where things have not been met, and using this as a crucial tool to advocate for future interests and using that for those future planning initiatives. The last proposal, and this one's a new addition. I'm actually I'm biased. I'm a little excited about this one. This one's mapping affordable housing in CB9. So this would involve Bella to research and create a comprehensive multi-layered Google map of all existing affordable housing types within Community Board 9. It would be a visual tool to create an overview of the community's housing landscape. To basically give us a tool of actually seeing, something visual that shows how much affordable housing do we have in this neighborhood, and what does it actually look like? This includes our public housing, HDFCs, co-ops, Mitchell-Lamas, shelters, transitional housing, everything. We want to see it all. We want to see where it is, even rent stabilized buildings. And so, as I mentioned, all those, that could be something that could be done in multi-layers. There used to be a tool, it's shut down now, called Oasis Map, that I loved with all my heart. And it would be a thing where you could actually put an address in and it could connect you to all the different city, like public websites, from finance to DOB to HPD. And you could see everything about that building in one click.
Justfix.org, you heard of that? Justfix.org, similar to what you're talking.
Yes.
That's not a map though, as I understand.
I tried like a building.
I'll show you.
Decided like completely off.
No, it redirects you to a new site. It still exists. I'm pretty sure. I still use it. It gives you Department of Finance, DOB, maybe Land.
Oasis.
Oasis.
Yeah.
That's where I usually go.
Yeah, same. No,
When did it die?
just this past week.
Oh.
Because before I was.
I just got hell to pay if that's gone. Still, especially for this committee.
100%. I saw that there was like a 2.0 that was supposed to come, and then
It'll come because this has happened before. The link was dead and it didn't work for like a week and then it came back. So
Okay.
it should come back. Yeah, I think people would not allow that to go away.
Yeah,
Because it's just
Yeah.
Gives you so much information about a parcel of land in one easy map.
Mhm. Green Tate's, who put that together?
This is the CUNY Graduate Center.
That's the city map.
How different is that? The Oasis is city, but,
Oh, it's city.
Different. Okay, it's different.
but that's actually might be the Sean Rickenbacker,
Right.
so.
Right on.
Would this last proposal address issues of fair share?
Oh, I think it would, because I think by having this multi-layered visual map, you could actually see how much of certain types of housing are either, you know, congregated, spread out, like, I mean, we're kind of spitballing at the moment.
Yeah, but I guess it wouldn't compare to other communities though, so.
Yeah. So I have those four. Out of the four, I'd likely move two forward, but I wanted to bring it up for discussion to see what.
We have to have this application in on the 19th meeting. There isn't gonna be another meeting to discuss this.
Yeah.
So we need to move this along at this meeting.
So do we have any feedback? I'd love anything that, I like what Barry said, I'm gonna make sure I have that. For the proposals one.
I'd like to say that I think, well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for doing it. It's a lot of work and several of these proposals actually, I think originated with Sydney.
Ideas we've been trying to get done for years.
Great, but originally we thought this application had to be submitted by the 8th. Right. Which was yesterday. Right. So we were kind of scrambling.
Yeah, they extended it.
And they sent it, very happily, they sent it to the 19th. But I really like the first proposal. Because I just feel like it has the most usefulness in terms of ongoing projects that are gonna come before this board and in this committee. So I'm endorsing that. It's my favorite proposals.
I concur on first, and the last is really important too, I think. Some of those two in the middle, I think, feel like intern jobs that maybe we can get someone else to do little shorter, sweeter projects.
I like that.
So the first and the last tend to be more of a long-term.
And if I know, I was telling Victor, I was leaning towards at least 4, proposal 4. I think it's very, I mean, they're all good, but 4 seems like it's something you could build on, it's interactive, and it looks like it would be able to be applied to our website, to the MCB9 website, which helps to update that website and make it interactive and more engaging for the community and then get information as well. So.
Yeah, that was actually, I guess, April's plan, he's also creating a map, that's why we met with Professor Rickenbacker, so I agree for his continuing that legacy of what she wants to do as well. But I am also for one, I don't know if you can combine them, maybe that might be an idea too, I don't know if you two or combine one and work together, take mapping the AMI aspect and the existing affordable housing.
The one thing about 4 is that I mean, I totally agree with it, everything everybody said, but it's gonna require maintenance. I mean, you can put it up, but 5 years from now, everything's gonna be different. And so I think it's, and I think that I don't mean to bring up a larger issue, but I think on the website, there are a lot of things that have become historical. And I don't, since this is a 1-year deal, I don't know how we deal with that issue.
Maybe not, maybe we can go from, if it's something that is robust enough, we can make an argument. To continue it and definitely bring a fellows, it can be so continuous project.
That's true.
I would put that plug in,
Yeah, so
yeah.
another way to look at it. Definitely useful.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any question.
But I think they probably are always looking for a place where a student can do a practicum. And if this is a site where, you know, it's kind of a guaranteed placement, then maybe you can make the argument. I'm as a graduate student trying to do my practicum, so.
I'm sorry, sis, but I think these are one shot deals. They're, I mean, theoretically, they apply, but it's not gonna, to maintain the site, it's not the same thing as put together. I mean, if we could figure out a way to fund a line to, that would be a way of approaching it, trying to do it that.
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, because the community board is kind of like the ocean, right? Like if people come and go.
Right.
That information will be helpful for us in the short term. We can't really think about, okay, and yeah, the city's always changing, the community board is always changing, come and go. So, I mean, I don't know anything that would have permanence, but I do think that information could really be helpful. But again, I'm advocating for a mixture of number 1 and number 4, if that's possible. I don't know.
I think I agree with that. I think 1 and 4 are terrific. I do think 2 and 3 are really, really important. 1 and 4 do just feel more imminent. I also think for proposal 2, there are a lot of orgs throughout the city, in this neighborhood that do a lot of this work and could be helpful for helping CB9 do that at some point, or just get the information over somewhere where we can share it to the site. And I mean, proposal 3 is, I think, really interesting. The city doesn't have to adhere to 197A plans when it does housing proposals in our neighborhood. And so I think it would be really interesting to look at how much the city has sort of strayed from what we put forward and what we wanted for our neighborhood. But again, proposal 1 and 4 feel more and more important for the daily work.
Should we see if there's a consensus on, I mean, we seem to be building towards that.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, and the good thing is because we just submit to, I feel like we have, it sounds like we have for 2. But do we want to put that to a vote?
Should there be a motion?
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay, so, does anybody want to make a motion, or should I make a motion? Okay, I move that, the committee submit a proposal, to, the community planning, fellows, and that, we, submit 2 proposals. Proposal 1 being the AMI guide for affordable housing in CB9. And the second proposal being a proposal for mapping affordable housing in CB9. Does anybody want to second that?
Wait, clarity, sorry. I thought the proposal was to combine. Maybe I misunderstood. Combine 1 and 4.
Well, in this case, we could, because we have 2 proposal places, we can't submit both 1 and 4. Whether they'll do one or the other, I'm not sure. But I think once we have that fellow, like depending on which one they pick,
Right.
we might be able to maybe nudge them to add more if they find that they're finishing quickly.
Okay. Sorry.
So I was second, Alana, you second?
Sure, second.
Let's make a note.
Okay, do we need a vote, or can we do this on consent? Is there anybody who does not agree with that proposal?
Also, it makes you pay attention to who's
Yeah,
online.
good idea.
But I know somebody wrote something in the chat.
Yeah, we have a second for 1 and 4.
Do we have any board members, committee members online?
No.
Okay, oh, so it's.
Okay, so in terms of the, committee.
Tribute as court.
Yeah,
So-
I'm fine with it as a public.
Okay, well, let's first take a vote by the committee. So can we do this on unanimous consent? Is that okay? Juan, are you all right with that? And you know, maybe the public members. Would the public members want to weigh in on this? Is there any?
Yeah, we
I
vote, we
wait.
vote the same. We have the same vote as a member as a normal member. We just, we don't at the full meeting.
No, I know that, but it has to be noted, I believe, in.
We still do that. Yeah, we do that.
Okay.
Did he mean community members?
Yeah, we should also have, I'm sorry, I apologize, we should also ask community members. Is there anybody?
1 and 4 for me, from the West Harlem Community Preservation Organization.
Great. Is there anybody who feels differently? Because I get the sense that there really is a consensus on this. Oh, sweet. It's by unanimous consent.
All right.
Congratulations to the team.
Your first vote.
We're killing it.
All right. And with that's really the end of new business. Looking at old business.
Before we move on to old business.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, we just wanted to be, in the introductions, let's make sure we recognize city agencies that are on the line. I just wanted to make sure we know that DCP is here. So Jose and Audrey are here, and I just want to make sure, let's make sure we add them to like introductions, and if they do have any updates.
Yeah, wonderful. Audrey, Jose, I apologize. Please be patient with me. It's my first. But you know, but thank you so much for joining. Were there any announcements, anything that you want to say?
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet our new committee co-chairs and see new and familiar faces on the board. My name is Audrey Walks. I'm a borough planner with the Department of City Planning, working with your board, as well as Community Board 12. And right now, I do not have any new business or announcements, although earlier in the summer, there were talks about potentially scheduling a ULURP and Zoning 101 training for the board. And I'm not sure whether now is a good time to schedule that, or perhaps we can do it offline, but just wanted to pick up where we left off on that conversation.
Audrey, would you briefly describe what that training consists of?
Sure. So it can be flexible and adaptable to the board's level of knowledge. And so essentially going over how ULURP works, what the timelines are, who are the stakeholders, and then the sibling training or presentation would be Zoning 101. So discussing what gets built where and what uses are allowed in certain areas. And, we can also do a particular focus on Board 9 and some of the districts and special districts we find here. So really up to you and the board members. So yeah, let me know.
Would it be on Zoom, or would it be live? And how long would it? Would it be more than one session? I mean, what are those kind of details?
Yeah, so it's completely flexible to your needs and to the schedules and availability of the board. I know my colleagues have led ones that have happened during meetings. Other people have led them outside of meetings. we can do like, a daytime workshop or something that's asynchronous. We really just, at city planning, we really want to be a resource to the board. And so we should talk about methods and modes that would work best.
Couple of raised hands.
Barry, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I have a question for Audrey, but it can wait if you're going to do some logistics stuff now with scheduling.
Victor, should we be scheduling for all new members or just for this committee, or how?
We probably do all the members. Be
Hi.
helpful for everyone.
Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I see Tina has her hand up, and I know she's being involved in some land use trainings as well. So probably it will be a good segue for that. But just seconding what Audrey's saying, we're trying to aim for either short sessions on this, but very applicable and something that the board will likely use. So in terms of like where to find the information from SAP, where to find the information on the seeker, environmental information, things that are typically not covered in other trainings. So that's what our focus is specifically, practical matters on using our materials as a complement on classes that are already given by the board of president on those trainings.
I have another hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention two things. We did a land use and zoning training with the Manhattan Borough President's Office and also someone from a longtime urban planner from Pratt. And we did it on a Saturday during the day and did it remotely, and a lot of people showed up. So I just wanted to throw that in terms of scheduling a time. Saturday during the day seemed like a really good time, and we got a lot of people on a remote call. I also wanted to ask Jose and Audrey, would you guys consider also adding in City of Yes? I mean, maybe giving a little bit of an overview on that. I don't know if that's sort of part of your sort of training profile, but I just wonder if that would be also useful for CB9 members and community.
For sure. Thank you that's a great suggestion. And we should talk about what would make sense for the board. So
Cool.
Definitely thank you for that. And we'll go back to you.
Sure. Thanks, guys.
Just say, I don't know if there are probably some people that need to know the fundamentals of zoning, but if there's an opportunity to dig into more specifics, definitely City of Yes. And then some of the more complex concepts of bonuses and, things that we've found out the hard way. And it would be good to have some knowledge of some of the more complex uses of zoning and how developers use that to get bonuses.
Good, can you send us a list of ideas?
Sure.
Later.
Yeah.
It sounds like we'll follow on.
Yeah.
Well, the question is, should Victor guide this, or what's our?
I'll work with you. Do we talk offline about getting some dates together? Okay.
That sounds great.
All right, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think Barry wanted to change the subject slightly, but.
Barry?
Yeah, it was a question for Audrey and Jose, which is can you explain to us the process that occurs after submission but before certification that the staff undertakes? And then also what that vote looks like at the end of that to certify an application is complete and to kick off the clock.
So thank you for that question, Barry. Just so I understand, you're asking about when an applicant files their application and DCP gets it, between that and the review session, the city planning review session where it's certified, what happens in that time period? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, like what do you look at in the application to confirm that it's complete and that it's ready for certification? And what are, like, I know one of the projects we had several years ago went through many, many rounds of submissions before they were certified. Can't remember which one that was. It might have been the 12th Avenue one on 135th, but yeah, it's just kind of, what is that? Because we obviously deal with it post-certification,
Right.
but I'd be interested to know what happens in the lead up to that.
Yeah. So what we're looking for is a complete set of materials, a clear set of materials, and an accurate set of materials. A bit behind the scenes is we try to anticipate and address any issues that we see during the draft stage, so during the pre-filing stage. And once it's filed, we like to have an application that is, pretty close to clear, concise, and accurate as possible. But of course, things come up, either there are many different stakeholders involved in some of these developments, or we noticed something that was previously unnoticed. And so there can be multiple revisions of the filed land use application where we're asking for more materials, asking for clarifications, things like that. But on the internal side, generally it depends on the application type, but we have multiple teams, an environmental review team, a zoning team, a team that does, reviews of dispositions and acquisitions, are all, and our council, our legal team are all weighing in. They don't all weigh in on every application, depends on the application type, as I said, but that's the general process. I have a follow-up question for you, Barry, if that's all right. Is this related to 1727 in Amsterdam?
I mean, yes, I think you were on the email I sent regarding some inaccuracies, but I've never quite fully understood that process. Like, I don't know if yeah, so it is both general and, yes, specific to that email that I sent.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's sort of a look, a window into our processes. For this application, they, because it's HPD in particular, I would strongly encourage the board to contact them about any, issues or questions with the application. They are extremely aware of the prior resolutions that the board has issued on this site. And we have briefed them multiple times that there will be a robust discussion about this application that was filed last month. So yeah.
And sorry, just to add to that, and I think Audrey, you hit all the points. But in the general concept on this, we typically, when we meet with any applicant, being a city sister agency or any private application, we always have the informational meeting where we discuss. We use that discussion to talk about the priorities of the community district needs profile, as well as administration and city priorities. So, just referring, and I heard the board talking early on about more housing, more affordability, you know, potentially a rezoning or so. Those discussions have been had and shared with the applicant. Ultimately, and I want to emphasize this, this is the we're not forcing applicants to do an application that the CP at the department, because separate from the commission, might feel is more appropriate here. We work with them to ensure their land use rationale does make sense, and if that there's no land use rationale, there might be multiple conversations and rounds of review, but ultimately is the decision of an applicant. We cannot withhold an application because they're not meeting our goals or the goals of the community district needs. It's an advisory conversation with those.
Right. And my questions and concerns were primarily factual, right? It was, there were statements made in the EAS that were on their face invalid and false. And then the other question, is that EAS was conducted for a different purpose, and then it was kind of recycled into this disposition application. And so, I know I know that the seeker has a separate set of deadlines from ULURP, but this is a separate thing than what the EAS was originally commissioned for. So
Yeah.
that's where that's where some of these questions come from. Is it's a little bit like a unique thing, right? It's a
Mhm.
weird situation, but it's not so much the purpose of the application, like that will save for the actual ULURP, but
Yeah.
it's really more like this fact, the accuracy of the submitted statement.
Mhm, mhm.
And an
So
application cannot certify, and just be clear, without a negative declaration on the EAS or an scoping meeting if it was an environmental impact statement. So although they travel in different timelines, there is a connection between certification or so. Audrey mentioned, and now she's going to add to this, HPD is the lead agency on that analysis. And what we have is the negative declaration with the result that I was issued at a certain day. So in terms of like the meeting, the requirements and the checkbox, that is, part of like what we are not a lead agency on that environmental report. So we cannot comment on that analysis. But Audrey is more in the weeds of this, and I'll let her. But I wanted to make
Yeah.
sure to ensure that you're, connecting the ULURP and seeker travel along in the same way. So it's not that, the seeker is they're
Mhm.
independent. Yeah.
And just to thank you, Jose, and just to add on to that, they issued a technical memorandum, a tech memo, that provided context and additional updates for a newly required category of analysis, which is the disadvantaged communities assessment. But we hear and we see that that there are that the project has changed a bit since the EAS was initially issued. Is that fair to say, Jose? Yeah, and so I would strongly, for further questions, because we're not the lead agency, HPD is the best agency to reach out to provide the rationale and their thinking behind behind this.
Actually, that's a really good question. When you say lead agency, I might not actually be understanding that term perfectly. Does that mean they're responsible for evaluating the EAS? So they're the ones who are paying for the EAS, and then they evaluate the EAS that they paid for. Because they're the funders of this project.
Well, I don't think they pay for the SXL because they have an environmental division, but they are the ones doing this study.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the HPD gives money to BRC in this project, and then BRC goes out and hires Philip Habib, who do the EAS, and then they submit it to HPD.
Yeah. So they work with consultants, but they're responsible for for making a determination on whether there will be an environmentally significant impact or not. So that, yeah.
Oh, this is helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm happy to chat now or offline about, any seeker related or EAS related questions. We're not like super experts on the environmental review side, just because we have a whole department at DCP that works with that, but happy to get you answers if I am not able to answer something.
Thank you so very much.
Hey, Audrey and Jose, I have two questions for you.
Sure.
One, do you have any updates on your end about 701 West 135 and the cantilevered building over the Amtrak tracks? And the last time we met, we gave you the news that that building is for sale. You heard anything more about that property?
No, I have no other info. No applications have crossed our desks, and no one has reached out.
Okay, because we were wondering, we don't know, and maybe Barry, this is something for us to do, of finding out if there was an official response from Amtrak. Or
yeah, whether there was an official response from Amtrak, are they trying to sell this property now with the zoning changes in place?
If they need an approval or information from us, they would have or will come to us. But yeah, so far I have not heard anything.
You're not aware of anything?
No.
My other question was about the Manhattan plan.
Still in the meeting.
And if there are any updates on your end about the Manhattan plan, are there any expectations of this community board in regard to the Manhattan plan?
Thanks for the question. We are anticipated to have more information. We were told this fall. In full, like if I had more information at this point in time right now, I would happily tell the board. That is what I have right now.
Okay, got it. I don't know if you have any questions, but.
Well, I just have a question for you, Liz. Could you just briefly tell us about those two items that you just asked Audrey about?
Well, I can talk about 701. Audrey or Jose are probably better equipped to talk about the Manhattan plan. But 701 West 135th Street was a Euler application from last year. A developer had come to us, the community board. I think the first time they came to us was probably 5-6 years ago with this idea of there is a sliver building at the bottom of the hill at 137. That's the street that goes down, right? 137. Down on 12th Avenue, there's an old
138, but yeah.
Yeah, 138. Where the sinkhole is, that was Kobo. Most of us remember the beloved Kobo that was there, and then a nightclub that drove all of us crazy. But a developer had bought that parcel of land, had come to us saying that they wanted to build a tall residential tower. They came back to us a couple of years later, which I think was just last year, for a shorter building on that site that would cantilever over the Amtrak tracks. And so when they first came to the community board, there was a conversation, Barry, correct me if I'm wrong, that Amtrak was involved in, and Amtrak essentially said, no, we would never approve that. To cantilever a building over the Amtrak tracks, but they moved forward with it anyway. We said no. Borough President Mark Levine said yes. DCP passed it. It passed. And then just recently, over the summer, if you go by that building, it has for sale signs all over it. So I think from a community board perspective, we want to know, did they ever get the approvals from Amtrak? Did Amtrak ever weigh in? How is this gonna come back to us?
Thank you.
And then Audrey, if you wanna give any sort of background on the Manhattan plan?
Happy to give some background. So earlier, Jose, correct me if I'm wrong on any of these timelines, but early this year, the mayor announced a plan to build 100,000 units of housing in the borough of Manhattan. And so shortly afterwards, there was some community outreach and strategizing around where these units would go, what form they would take, and the goal of the project is not to necessarily build 100,000 units of housing right away, or let me back up and be more clear. This is not a development proposal. The final form of this will be a white paper or a housing blueprint, and just looking at which areas of Manhattan might be best suited to accommodate additional residential capacity.
And to be clear, there's no other borough plan. It's just a Manhattan plan.
Yeah, Audrey, go ahead.
Yep.
Am I wrong?
That's correct.
But I was gonna say, so, you know, Jamaica Plan, and other more focused neighborhoods in Queens specifically, and they have been approved recently. Like Long Island, housing plan is also on board, and they are, you know, approximately around 60 to 80,000 units of housing collectively. So it's also a large, you know, proposal, but it is not one Manhattan Plan borough base. But I do have some news on that, which is, and I just got the green light earlier today to share that the agency anticipates releasing the report by the end of the year. I don't know how great that, you know, sounds, but it is at least, you know, a deadline that has been better to share with other outside the agency.
If one were cynical, David and Mateen, one would say that because City of Yes created for the first time R11 and R12 designations in the toolkit, but nowhere have those designations ever been applied, one might speculate that this plan is the opportunity to try out their new toys now that they have them, and put some of that on the map. So that is not stated anywhere, but if you look at the timing and if you look at the location, you know, one could infer.
Yeah. And the Manhattan Plan, and I believe that has been discussed, is exploration for higher densities. But already working the MSMX project, and that is the first essentially project that has already mapped R11 and R12. But the commission is currently scheduled for voting the first R11 in Harlem, so a little closer to the neighborhood in 125th for the MTA development. So it's a 6611 zoning district, you know, which it was a very painless public review with a lot of support from community board and the board of president, and the CPC, you know, didn't have any questions in terms of the appropriateness of the site, of the zoning district on the site. So we're optimistic that we might be seeing more of this higher density districts, especially around the transportation hubs.
And I will just very quickly add, none of these, we can't just go and randomly map an R11 or R12 district. It'd have to go through Euler.
Yes.
Yes, it's not like a disposition of land. No, I'm kidding. Sorry. It's been a long meeting.
You tell me.
All right. Are there any further questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Yes. All right. So I think we could move on to old business. Although I don't have anything specific on under old business, unless there's any updates. Yeah. Are there any updates with RKO Hamilton here?
I'll say two short updates from MHCC.
Yes.
The first is that there are like a limited set of rent and sleep apartments that Columbia is going to make available to remains to be seen the neighborhood, the surrounding area. So MHCC has been just sort of monitoring that, reaching out to Columbia to see what that process is gonna look like. It's a very limited set of apartments, so I actually don't know the actual number of apartments that they're gonna make available. Or exactly what the process is gonna look like.
Is this in that new building or is this in some other?
Not in that new building, I don't believe.
So where are these?
Also like not fully sure yet.
It's
But
across all their properties.
I believe so.
But
yeah.
specifically, David, they're across properties that were regulated upon acquisition.
Yes.
So older is the answer.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So what are they being used for now if they were stabilized when they were acquired?
So my understanding is that they were used for other folks to occupy,
Like
and now they're
faculty.
like that, yeah, and now they're vacant again.
Okay.
But again, I'm not sure. I don't think MHCC knows more than that on this specific issue.
What does that stand for again? Sorry, MHCC?
Morningside Heights Community Coalition.
God,
Yeah.
thank you, yeah.
Another sort of Columbia specific thing, MHC has been trying to launch a tenants association, both for Columbia tenants or Columbia affiliated tenants, so students and faculty, as well as the number of folks who live in Columbia housing but are not Columbia affiliated. So we'll keep you all updated on that, and I think it'll be terrific if CB9 could support that effort as well. So just those reasons.
What's the difference between that and like Columbia neighbors?
Yeah.
What's the difference between the MHCC and like Columbia?
MHCC is just like an organization that helps out in Morningside Heights. You know, it's just meant to like advocate for kind of issues that come up. They have specific subcommittees that look at a ton of other stuff within Morningside Heights. But it's really just to focus on housing. CPUs.
Yeah, they've been integral in rezoning, a rezoning proposition to the city to zone side heights area. Try and get more amenable to.
Yes, yeah, which I believe has also been with DCP for.
Yes.
Which, you know, it would be great to kind of update on that as well.
No, it's with LUD at the council. It's not with DCP. They're the co-applicant along with CB9.
Agreement, the Columbia agreement with regard to the new campus.
No, there was a protest.
Are we talking about the community benefits agreement?
Yeah,
or-
community benefits.
Okay.
Gates.
I mean,
That's.
I believe
Oh, that's.
that the West Rutland
okay,
Development
yeah,
Corporation. So
sorry.
MHCC does get funding from
Okay.
the West Rutland Development Corporation, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Do we have any other updates?
There should be something about RKO, right? Because I know Walter's, he's, Alexander is on that committee and he's also on the Arts and Culture Committee. He said that there was a meeting, but
He's just trying to get a meeting, I think, so.
I heard that there was interest or there was some sort of meeting.
He's asking.
So he's trying to set up date.
So is it?
No, there was a meeting, Victor. You and I went in July.
Oh, right,
Oh, it's a lot.
yeah.
Okay.
Is there any
update about that?
Any information on that?
He didn't relate it to you guys.
Not to me.
Well, Liz was there, right? Virtually.
Yeah, I was there virtually. I mean, if I could summarize what the update was, is that, oh God. Ashkenazi is the owner of the RKO and that they presented a proposal to renovate the building on the exterior. They would demolish the back half of the building with the theater. This is like the original proposal. Without, I think the major difference between the proposal that Ashkenazi gave us in July was they had not proposed for any affordable housing. It was all market rate. And that they would be tearing out the historic theater in the back. Well, I shouldn't call it a historic theater. The exterior of the building is what is deemed a landmark, not the interior. If anyone has ever been inside that, I've seen the inside of it. And I mean, it's in rough shape, but it could be restored. We could have a King's Theater right here in our own neighborhood. But their idea is to tear down the back half of the building, use it for residential, with a community space inside, fix up the outside, but I believe no affordable housing, which was everyone's call. You know, I mean, I think there are trade-offs with that project. And trying to keep the theater was really the wish of the community, and the community would need to do a lot of heavy lifting of finding money. from somewhere, to, accentuate whatever, a developer, would bring to the table. So that was the update from July. I haven't heard anything more about it, and Walter just sent an email today saying he wanted to organize a meeting. Yeah.
Is there anything else, any legislation we should be looking at, developments that we haven't already spoken about?
No, it's too bad we didn't get Teresa while she was here to talk about NYCHA and talk about her, being being the voice of NYCHA for this committee. Cause it was something that we were always looking for, was someone to go to NYCHA meetings and to be able to speak to, not everyone, but, I believe she lives in Grant houses and, the reality of, what's going on in that property. So we didn't, she's obviously, the meeting took too long, which they often do.
It's your first one, so.
Yeah, but it would be good if we can try to engage her in that way at the next meeting.
Absolutely.
Cause we need those voices.
What you can do is, email her and ask her for the update. Then for the next meeting,
Let her present.
let her present earlier, because she has a time frame.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Alright. Well, with that, I have nothing further. I think we're ready to adjourn. Shall we have?
Well, before we adjourn, thank you, everybody, for coming and making this, an easy meeting for the team. I don't know. We shouldn't judge how well it went, but from our point of view, we really appreciate all the input. This whole thing. So.
Yeah, our scorecard will be.
I'll send you. Oh, fine.
Thank you guys.
Great job.
Please feel free to give us feedback.
We've been trying to make a smooth transition, and you guys have made it really well. So.
You got some claps up there.
Yeah, claps. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, but we look forward to doing a lot more.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
actually
Is there a motion made?
Motion to adjourn.
Right, on the details, right, yeah. That's gonna start.
Okay, excellent.
Second?
I did see that. So time
To my count.
8:53.
So when do they usually?
We've tried to aim for 8:30 at the
Okay,
latest.
okay.
So if you aim for 8:30, some days it's just gonna be longer, and we understand there's presentations and things, but we usually try to aim for 8:30 as a respect for everyone's time.
Okay.
8 even better, but if it's
Yeah.
a short.
Aim for 8:15.
Yeah.
15. If the office is that too.
Okay, okay.
Hopefully, this is the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
You got it, please.
Yeah, he's keep.
Alright, folks, thank you all for joining us online, and we look forward to hosting next week. Thank you.
You.